know. I spent a lifetime shooting myself in the foot metaphorically because it's like, well, my life's going good now. How can I screw this up? You know?
You want to know the message?
I'll be noble. I'll be noble. I'm not good enough for you. That kind of thing. You know, it's like, how can I... Because there was that part of my depressive nature and growing up in an alcoholic background that said, well no, you don't deserve this. You can't be happy. And so you'd find ways to just ruin it. And that's why I believe in fate. I mean, I don't know anybody on the planet that could live with me other than my wife. I'm a special guy. There's a line from a Chris Christopherson song that says, I'm a walking contradiction, partly truth and partly fiction. And that kind of describes me. I wrote a little poem once that says, I thought I was, but I'm not what I was or what I thought. Because life teaches you. You think you're a certain kind of person, and then some sort of stimuli will happen, and you'll get mad, and well, that's not me. I don't react that way. Well, obviously you do. But you didn't realize that about yourself. So that's what... Life is a journey, not of, but to the self. And I know one day I'll make it back home to me. And that's my goal.
Gorgeous.
To make it back to who I was when I began.
Who's been your biggest teacher?
As far as spiritual? Well, again, because of my age, when I started out, it was all the poets and the writers. It was Bukowski and Kerouac, and I wanted to be John Lennon when I was young. I lived from that. And Dylan. I still get goosebumps. I was in contact once with a lady who channels John Lennon, and Yoko's on my Facebook, and she has an Imagine Peace Foundation where she did there's a big structure in Iceland that people all over the world would send positive messages to and stuff. And there's a lady, actually, if you're looking for contacts after me, there's a lady called Vanessa Hurst, who's a psychic and so on, but she also does drawings. She's an artist, and John Lennon is one of her muses. So it's all the writers of the 60s and 70s. They were a big influence. People like Deepak, Dr. Bruce Lipton, who I love. He wrote a book called Spontaneous Evolution, and Dr. Bruce is a medical doctor. Science, 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 and then one day he went, there's got to be more. So now he does these lectures about not only spirituality, but spirituality right down to your genetic code and your DNA level, and he'll explain it on the science side, which is just fascinating. Just a wonderful man. So every day I find, that's the thing with the 21st century and the media like it is, every day you find new people. It's just all of a sudden. But for me, at the end of the day, the people that inspire me most, like a lot of people love Oprah and the Angel Network and stuff like that, but for my son, if I'm going to point out a hero, it wouldn't be Oprah. Not because she isn't great. I mean, if she ran for president and I was American, I'd vote for her. But she did a show once on a woman of color, who had like 4 kids. And this other family, they had like 5 kids, and their parents died. So she took them in. So she's in an apartment with like 9 kids. She's working 3 jobs, and she's raising these kids with integrity, honor, respect. That's a hero. It's easy for people who have everything to give something, but the real heroes in life are people who have nothing and give everything. That's where I find my inspiration. It's those people. When I was on the street, I met decent people. I met bad people, but I met decent people. I met people who were there just because they were missing something, not in their heart or in their soul, but in their brain. There was a condition that just made it so they couldn't function properly. But inside, there was wisdom. Inside, there was something that could touch you. And that's why, I'm living on the street, and I got people, driving $50,000 cars, circling the block looking for me to come get advice from me. Because you can see it when it's honest and it's real. You can see it, and that's what I search for all the time. It's like, are you genuine? You have to be genuine. Disingenuous, and I start getting antsy about it, because I don't care how good you are at this. I care how honest you are. If you believe it, that's good enough. It doesn't have to be real. You just have to believe it.
So your experience on the street, you weren't discriminated against. Like if you had people still looking for you, you weren't looked down upon?
Well, I'm only 5'8", but I'm a decent sized guy with a bad haircut and a beard. So people give you space. You know, I'll give you an example. I had a friend, my gay friend, who he had a boyfriend at the time. So he calls me up and he says he's stuck in the Olympic, which is like the worst bar in town. It's like this crackhead bar. It's like 4 in the afternoon. He says he's stuck there and they won't let him out. I'm like, what do you mean they won't let him out? They won't let him out. Could you go get him? I'm like, just tell him to man up. Like, okay, I'll go get him. So I walk in. I walk to the back of the room where he is. I look at him and I go, we're leaving. And I turn and walk out. And nobody said boo to me. Because I'm not a victim. I didn't carry myself like a victim. I didn't walk like a victim. I didn't talk like a victim. And I didn't attack anybody. I didn't go in, hey, you guys leave him. I just walked in and went, we're leaving. And we walked out.
It's about the energy, like you said.
It's about the energy. If you've ever seen The Dog Whisperer with Cesar Millan, he talks a lot about energy. And actually he speaks on energy now, separate from the dog thing. But it's all about energy because animals can sense your energy. So you don't know why they're acting the way they are, but it's not because they won't listen or they don't have the capability. It's because you've got all this stress inside you and negative energy, so you might be telling them one thing, but they're feeling another. And that's what they're sensing. So they're all like this because there's a fear in them because of the energy you're putting off.
Does that happen to children as well, with parents who, you know, say they're unhappy in their marriage, but they keep it behind closed doors?
You can never keep people who think that you hide stuff from children because you have a closed door. Growing up in an alcoholic background, you never hide anything from anybody. Kids are way smart. Susan Vega had a song years ago called "Bad Wisdom," and that's what it's about. It's about being very young and knowing far too much than you should about certain aspects of life. So you think I'm 52 years old and I sleep with the radio on to this day. Because when you grow up in an alcoholic background, people argue and fight, and there's lots of noise from drunks, and so you sleep with the radio on, so it kind of drowns out some of the sound. So you got, you know, after decades of that, you get used to it, and it's in my head now. I have to have the sound.
Amazing. Do you have a favorite poem that you've written?
That I've written. I go through stages. Actually, the ones that I like the most, I can't remember. Because, again, it's part of my ADHD.
Yes.
When I stopped writing rhyming poetry and went to prose and wrote more spiritual stuff,
Yes.
I got one called Imagine Peace that I wrote for the Yoko Project. And people like to use my poems for like universities and stuff I've had written. The ones I remember are the ones that are darker, but there was 2 I used to do, and one was about an abusive woman.
Okay.
And it's called When Will You Touch Me Again? And I used to get that requested out at the poetry groups, and that's what, like I said, I don't write rhyming poetry anymore. I write prose and I write more positive. But this was of the time, and it's if I remember, it's I love you, I hate you. The pattern is set. Just, the blankets are bloody and the sheets are all wet. I cry in my sleep and I pray for the end. When will you touch me again? I'm beaten, I'm broken, I've become who I am. The devil is in me and God's his right hand. How can I run if I can't even stand? And when will you touch me again? Please love me, please hold me, I wish I was dead. My body is frightened of what it's been fed. Please hurt me once more and then cut off my head. And when will you touch me again? Oh, when will you touch me again? And that's about the cycle of, people ask, like, how come she keeps going from one guy like this to another guy, and how come, because there's a Stockholm syndrome, there's something in your head about self-esteem and things like this that keep you making the same pattern and the same pattern, and people don't understand it. So that's what I wrote the poem about, the futility people feel, how they feel lost, and the same person that's beating the daylights out of them, they just want to be loved by that same person. Like, I knew my sister, I knew her relationship would end the day she stopped defending his bad behavior. The day she stopped saying things like, well, you know, he's had a hard life. The day she stopped making excuses, that was the day that she would be ready to go. And I told her when that day came, I'd help her out, and I did. But that's the kind of stuff I used to write in my darker days. But it had a meaning still, it had a purpose.
Sure.
And the other one was about racial prejudice, called The Way It Is. Once while out walking in the neighborhood, I spied a little girl made of balsa wood. The wind had swept her away, an unsuspecting load, then left her lying face down in the middle of the road. There were holes in her cheeks where the tears had broken through, and her hands reached out for mercy, as if she always knew that this is a world where it doesn't matter if you're good, because you'll always go to hell if you're made of balsam wood. And yeah, and again, that's from living on the street and stuff. You get that darkness, and there are days when you feel like, I'm not going to climb out of this. And again, it's about the futility. And you ask where I find inspiration, and that's where you find inspiration from the people who just climbed out. Will Smith did a movie, The Pursuit of Happiness, and that's a true story. And there's a scene in the story that actually happened in real life. And this is where this homeless guy, he's got a little son with him. This homeless guy walks up to a guy who comes by in like a Maserati or a Porsche or something, and just walks up to him and goes, "What do I have to do to get that car?" And that began his journey from the streets into a successful businessman and so on. It's the people who say, okay, you know what? You can bring it all on, whatever you want. I'm going to walk through this, and I'm going to come out the other side. My with the alcohol background and the Catholic background always had, you bow your head. And I've never been a bow my head kind of person. I've been a raise my head kind of person. I used to ask the priest, how can you expect me to see heaven if you always have me looking towards hell?
Did you?
Oh, I did. Oh, I was brilliant.
That's gorgeous.
Oh, they loved me. I used to do stuff like that all the time. The thing that, I went to 10 years of Catholic school, but then I went to public high school because when I turned 11, at that time my parents said, hey, you can make your own decisions, so when high school came along. But the thing that changed it for me, there was a lot of hypocrisy and stuff I didn't understand, and I held it against the church for a long time, until I got older and realized this is about people. It's not about the book, it's about how people take things and misinterpret them. But there was one situation where the church was getting renovated, so they were redoing the confessionals, and we used to have to go every Friday because we were right beside the church. So we'd have to go confess. Like, how much bad could I have done? I'm a kid, right?
Yes.
But they were redoing the confessionals, so they just put a chair out in the middle of the room, and they had me had us come and just kneel at the foot of the priest, right out in the open. And I walked out of there, and I remember saying to my friends at 11, I said, I will never kneel before another man in my life. And that was it. I was done with the church that day. I felt diminished as a human being, and it was like, I will never do that again.
Do you think there's a place for organized religion?
People say, if you didn't have religion, you wouldn't have war. It's just not true, because you'd still have men. People ask me, what's wrong with the world? You have two things that are wrong with the world, men and white men. It'd be nice if we lived in a world where women were it was a matriarchal society, but the reality of the world we still live in today is it's very patriarchal, and men rape, men murder, men molest, men go to war. These are the evils that men do. You want a better planet, you have to grow better men, because the ones that have been here to this point just haven't done the job. And as a man, we need to step up and speak to injustice. You look what happened in the States with the George Bush government. I mean, how can that go on for 8 years? Like, how could people... When he was elected the second time, that's when the world gasped. Because that's when the world went, oh my God, this is who they are. Yes. And that's frightening. When you see people outside of a funeral of a gay person with a sign that says God hates fags, you have to wonder, like, I don't care what religion, but somebody's got a mom. Whether or not you agree with what the kid did, somebody's mom is in there mourning their son's loss. Where does it say in your book to do that? Do you not understand what the word means? Do you not understand what the book... Because the book I read in school said we were all God's children. It didn't say only Christians were. It said, let he who hath no sin cast the first stone. And here people are throwing rocks. It just doesn't make sense. Judge not lest ye be judged.